What if we told you that the Israel-Palestine conflict of 2023 was not just a war between two nations, but a reflection of deep-seated historical grievances, political divides, and socio-economic disparities? It's a puzzle that's been decades in the making, a knot of tension so complex that it's hard to know where to begin unraveling it. Let's start with the backdrop. The Israel-Palestine conflict, as many of you know, is not something that sprang up overnight. It's a story that spans centuries, deeply rooted in historical narratives and claims over the same piece of land. It's a conflict where religion, national identity, and the struggle for self-determination intersect, making it one of the world's most enduring and contentious disputes. In the years leading up to the 2023 war, the tensions escalated. Religious holidays, usually times of peace and reflection, became flashpoints of conflict. Violent incidents increased, with an Italian citizen killed in Tel Aviv and 2 British-Israeli women shot near the occupied West Bank. These events stirred the already turbulent waters, adding fuel to the fire. Yet the Israel-Palestine conflict is not merely about physical violence. It's also a battle of narratives, with both sides seeking to assert their version of the truth. And in this digital age, the battlefront extends to social media, where Palestinians have been sharing their experiences and high-profile celebrities have spoken out in support of Palestine, all contributing to shifting global sympathies. However, these shifts in public opinion are not uniform. They reflect the broader political divide, with Democrats showing more sympathy for Palestinians as compared to Republicans. Yet, overall support for Israel remains strong, particularly among Republicans, influenced by factors like Christian evangelical support and war on terror rhetoric. So, before we dive into the details of the 2023 war, it is crucial to understand that this conflict is rooted in decades of history and layered with numerous complexities. It's not simply about two nations at war, it's about historical grievances, political ideologies, and the struggle for identity and self-determination. The 2023 war didn't start in a vacuum. The fuse was lit by a series of events that escalated tensions to a boiling point. The sequence of incidents that led to the 2023 war, like beads on a string, began to align. One of the most significant was the raid on Al-Aqsa Mosque during the Muslim holy month of Ramadan and the Jewish holiday of Passover. This act sparked a series of violent incidents, the repercussions of which reverberated far beyond the borders of Israel and Palestine. An Italian citizen lost his life, and others were injured when a car plowed into a group of tourists in Tel Aviv. The driver, a Palestinian citizen of Israel, was shot and killed by the police. In another incident, 2 British-Israeli women were gunned down near the occupied West Bank. These acts of violence, fueled by the initial raid on Al-Aqsa Mosque, sent shockwaves around the world. As these events unfolded, the international community's sympathy for Palestinians began to rise. A Gallup poll revealed a new high. Nearly 1/3 of U.S. adults expressed sympathy towards Palestinians. This shift in perception was not isolated but a part of a larger movement. High-profile celebrities lent their voices, and social media platforms became a stage for Palestinians to share their experiences, influencing public opinion worldwide. This increased awareness and sympathy, however, led to political polarization. The divide between Republicans and Democrats in the U.S. over this issue was a reflection of this. The Democrats in particular showed a significant shift, with almost half of them expressing sympathy towards Palestinians, a stark increase from just 5 years prior. Yet, while the narrative was shifting and sympathies growing, the reality on the ground for Palestinians remained unchanged. The occupation, the blockade, the daily struggles continued. The shifting opinions, while a glimmer of hope, were yet to translate into tangible changes in policy or action. As these events unfolded, the world watched, and the stage was set for the 2023 war. What began as a spark soon turned into a raging fire, as the conflict escalated into a full-blown war in 2023. This was not a war confined to the battlegrounds. It was a war fought in the streets, in homes, and in the hearts and minds of the people. The strategies and tactics used by both sides painted a picture of a conflict deeply rooted in historical grievances and political ideologies. The Israeli side, with its technologically advanced military, employed a combination of airstrikes and ground operations. Precision strikes were aimed at neutralizing strategic targets, while ground forces engaged in urban warfare, often leading to intense and unpredictable confrontations. The Palestinians, on the other hand, adopted a different approach. With limited resources, their resistance took the form of asymmetric warfare, utilizing guerrilla tactics and the element of surprise. The use of tunnels for smuggling and surprise attacks became a hallmark of their strategy, underlining the stark disparity in resources. However, it wasn't just a two-sided war. International actors played significant roles in shaping the course of the conflict. Some nations provided humanitarian aid, others offered diplomatic support, and a few even supplied arms and military assistance. The international community, while divided in their allegiances, were united in their concern for the human cost of the war. And indeed, the impact on civilians was profound and deeply troubling. Residential areas became battlegrounds, schools were transformed into shelters, and ordinary citizens were thrust into extraordinary circumstances. The war disrupted lives, displaced families, and left a lasting imprint on the psyche of those caught in the crossfire. The war also reverberated beyond the borders of Israel and Palestine. Protests erupted in cities worldwide, international diplomatic relations were strained, and the conflict became a polarizing topic in global discourse. The war in 2023 wasn't just a regional conflict, it was a global event. As the war raged on, it became evident that the impact of this conflict was far-reaching, affecting not just those on the battlefield, but communities worldwide. The echoes of war often reverberate long after the final gunshots have been fired, and the 2023 war was no exception. The aftermath of this conflict painted a picture of human cost, regional impact, and a wave of international response that was impossible to ignore. On the human level, the scars run deep. Stories of trauma and resilience emerged, highlighting the strength of the human spirit in the face of adversity. A poignant example is the story of Farha, a Palestinian girl forced into exile during the war. Her tale, spotlighted at the Palestinian Film Festival, brought to light the harsh realities of displacement and the struggle for survival that many Palestinians faced. The regional landscape too bore the brunt of the conflict. Tensions escalated, leading to violent incidents that further strained the Israel-Palestine relationship. The violence that unfolded in the streets of Tel Aviv and the occupied West Bank served as a grim reminder of the volatility of the situation. Internationally, the response was significant. Sympathy for the Palestinians among Americans reached an all-time high, with a Gallup poll revealing a notable shift in perception. High-profile celebrities lent their voice to the cause, and social media became a platform for Palestinians to share their experiences. This shift, however, was not enough to bridge the gap in sympathies for Israel versus the Palestinians. The political divide in the United States was clear, reflecting the broader political landscape. The war also left its mark on the Israel-Palestine conflict. While the narrative shifted and sympathies for the Palestinian cause grew, the reality for Palestinians living under Israeli occupation or blockade remained unchanged. The Democratic Party saw some movement towards pro-Palestinian sentiments, but it was not the predominant position within the party. These changes may eventually impact policy decisions, but the tangible effects remain to be seen. The 2023 war left a deep and lasting impact, not only on the people directly involved, but on the global perception of the Israel-Palestine conflict. The 2023 war, like all conflicts, is a mirror that reflects the complexities of human nature, politics, and history. As we journeyed through this story, we unveiled the layers of a narrative that is both deeply rooted in the past and dynamically evolving in the present. From the spark that ignited the conflict to the unfolding of the war and its aftermath, each chapter has shed light on the intricate tapestry of the Israel-Palestine conflict. The war was not merely a series of battles fought on the ground. Instead, it was a maelstrom of narratives, each echoing the sentiments of a different segment of society. In this age of digital connectedness, social media platforms served as both a stage and a battleground, allowing voices from all sides to share their experiences and perspectives, shaping public opinion far beyond the borders of the conflict itself. We witnessed a shift in global perceptions, driven in part by the power of shared stories and experiences. Sympathies for the Palestinian cause among Americans reached a new high, reflecting a broader global trend. Yet, despite the shifting sands of public opinion, the stark reality of life under occupation or blockade for Palestinians remains largely unchanged. The role of influential figures, from high-profile celebrities to political leaders, has been pivotal in steering these tides of change. Yet, the polarization between Republicans and Democrats on this issue mirrors the broader political divide in the United States, reminding us that the Israel-Palestine conflict is not just a regional issue, but a global one. Looking ahead, the future of the Israel-Palestine conflict remains uncertain. The seeds of peace are yet to be sown, and the path to resolution is fraught with obstacles. Yet, the changing perceptions and growing global awareness provide a glimmer of hope. As we continue to engage with this issue, we must remember that it is in the hearts and minds of those involved where the solutions lie. As we look back on the 2023 war, we are reminded that understanding conflict requires looking beyond the battlefield, into the hearts and minds of those involved. Because in the end, it is there that the seeds of peace can be found.